2025 has become the turning point for an unexpected spiritual awakening. From bustling cities to quiet mountain towns, from lecture halls to studios, people once indifferent, educators, creatives, thinkers, are being drawn, not by force, not by custom, but by something deeper, an encounter that is intimate, unspoken, and profoundly real. In homes once dimmed by doubt, the flame of faith is returning. In lands where Catholicism was but a whisper, church bells now ring loud. What is fueling this rising tide? Which nations are witnessing the most dramatic spiritual shifts? In this video, we unveil the top 5 countries leading a quiet revolution, one conversion at a time. These stories are not coincidences, they are signals, and they just might make you question what voice they're answering, and who else might be listening. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Number 1. China. Nowhere is the story of Catholic conversion more dramatic and more concealed than in China. In 2000, experts estimated that only 10,000 to 15,000 people joined the Catholic Church each year. But by 2025, that number has surged to over 250,000 annual conversions, a staggering increase of more than 1,500% in just 25 years. But these aren't simply statistics. They're acts of faith carried out in the shadows. In hidden house churches and candlelit rooms, the faithful gather in whispers, well aware of the risks: surveillance, interrogation, blocked career paths, and sometimes even worse. And still they come. They come because something deeper is stirring. This is not a trend. It is a movement of quiet defiance. The Chinese Communist Party has long viewed religion, especially Catholicism, as both socially inconvenient and politically dangerous. And yet, from university students and young professionals to members of the elite disillusioned by materialism, many are discovering a sacred space untouched by the state. They are not chasing rebellion, but order, something timeless, transcendent, and unshakable. For them, Catholicism offers no promise of social status or privilege, but something far more daring: a higher allegiance in a nation that demands total loyalty. Across the country, underground seminaries are preparing new priests in silence. Digital catechism groups are forming in encrypted online spaces, where theology is discussed in secret and doctrine is passed hand to hand like forbidden treasure. Entire families are being baptized, not in celebration, but in solemn awareness of what it could cost them. This isn't religion clinging to survival. It's the church flourishing in the margins. While it may never appear in government reports or national surveys, the reality is undeniable. Catholicism in China is not only growing faster than anywhere else on earth, it is doing so under pressure that would crush most movements. It thrives not in the spotlight, but in the silence, fueled by suffering, formed in secrecy, and anchored by a truth so powerful that even fear cannot silence it. Number 2. Nigeria. In Nigeria, faith is not tucked away behind closed doors. It walks through the marketplace, pulses through music, and shouts from street corners. It is vivid, vocal, and sometimes dangerous. Religious life here unfolds in a charged atmosphere, where Pentecostal revivals roar, Islamic traditions run deep in the northern regions, and political instability keeps communities on edge. In such a volatile climate, one might expect the Catholic Church to shrink, to retreat into silence. But instead, something astonishing is happening. The church is expanding, not cautiously, but boldly. In 2005, Catholic conversions were estimated at 80,000 to 90,000 annually, already a powerful number in a country where spiritual allegiance often comes with risk. But by 2025, that figure has surged past 210,000, a 160% increase in just 2 decades. This isn't just growth, it's a spiritual uprising. The Catholic Church in Nigeria is not confined to hushed sanctuaries. It is alive in bustling markets, overcrowded classrooms, crowded buses, and in the corners of refugee camps where government aid rarely reaches. Parishes have become more than places of worship. They are lifelines. Here the hungry are fed, the sick are treated, and children are given both books and hope. In regions abandoned by public institutions, it is often the church that stays behind. Priests in Nigeria are more than spiritual leaders. They are moral beacons, social organizers, and in some areas, targets. Especially in the northern states, where Islamic insurgencies dominate the headlines, Mass is sometimes celebrated beneath the watchful eyes of armed guards. Those who convert from Islam often face expulsion from their families, threats from their communities, and the loss of social standing. But they come willingly, knowingly, courageously. These conversions aren't whispered in secret. They are proclaimed from stages, witnessed at open-air healing services, and celebrated in full view of the world. Public, proud, and often irreversible. Many come from Pentecostal or traditional African religions, drawn by the Church's global unity, sacramental depth, and moral steadfastness. Others come because Catholicism offers something rarely seen in the chaos: order, purpose, and eternity. It does not follow culture, it challenges it. And for many Nigerians, that challenge is a lifeline. Seminaries are now full to bursting. Lay apostolates are multiplying. Catholic media, from radio to television to digital networks, is reaching millions. Vocations to the priesthood and religious life are among the highest globally, fueled by a generation that sees in the Church not just stability, but mission. In Nigeria, Catholicism is not fading. It is a fire, uncontained, unafraid, and impossible to ignore. Number 3, France. Long known as La Fille aînée de l'Église, the eldest daughter of the Church, France was also one of the first to cast aside her religious heritage with stunning finality. Over the course of the 20th century, a tidal wave of secularism reshaped the nation's soul, pushing religion to the outer margins of public life. Majestic cathedrals stood as architectural relics, admired by tourists but largely forgotten by citizens. Faith became something stored in textbooks, not lived in hearts. By 2010, Catholic adult conversions in France numbered around 35,000 per year, a modest figure for a country of such deep historical Catholic roots. Yet behind that modest number lay a nation weary of grand ideologies, quietly restless beneath its rational surface. And then, something unexpected began to stir. By 2025, the number of adult conversions had surged past 150,000, a fourfold increase in just 15 years. But this revival didn't emerge from nostalgic Catholics returning home. It came from the unbaptized, the disenchanted, the intellectually restless, and notably from those of Muslim heritage, drawn by the quiet power of grace they encountered in the Church's liturgy, symbolism, and silence. Many of these new converts are young, educated, and urban, often professionals, creatives, or university students between the ages of 18 and 30. Politically progressive and culturally secular, they speak not of rejecting modernity, but of discovering something that modernity had never given them: transcendence. Their journeys often begin not with a theological argument, but with an unexpected beauty, a haunting choral echo in a centuries-old chapel, the serene solemnity of a requiem mass stumbled upon during a visit to Notre Dame, a painting, a sculpture, a Latin hymn, moments that rupture the routine and whisper something ancient to the soul. From these aesthetic encounters, many are drawn into something deeper. A church that offers not noise but depth, not slogans but structure, not control but mystery. Unlike emotional revivalism or crowd-driven faith trends seen elsewhere, France's spiritual awakening is contemplative, inward, almost monastic in spirit. Theology courses once neglected are now overflowing. Spiritual retreats are attracting not only retirees but engineers, artists, and philosophers. Parishes that once echoed with the voices of aging congregants now hum with the quiet devotion of catechumens from diverse ethnic and cultural backgrounds. In a society that once prided itself on its cold rationalism, many are finding that faith doesn't contradict reason. It completes it. These conversions are not born of fear or pressure, but of meaning rediscovered. The Church, once dismissed as outdated, is now being rediscovered as a sanctuary for intellect, for the imagination, and for the soul. Number 4, Indonesia. Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation, has always been seen as a spiritual stronghold of Islam in Southeast Asia. Yet beneath its towering minarets and prayer-filled streets lies a quieter, more unexpected current. A quiet surge in Catholic conversions that's rewriting the nation's spiritual landscape in ways few predicted. This isn't merely a religious footnote. It's a shift in spiritual identity, subtle, persistent, and transformative. For decades, Catholicism in Indonesia was largely rooted in the margins, found in remote tribal communities across Kalimantan, Papua, and Nusa Tenggara. In these rural zones, Catholic missionaries offered education, medical care, and farming support, often serving as lifelines in places where state services fell short. Conversion in these regions was deeply tied to survival and opportunity, a chance at a better life. But today, the story is different. By 2025, the number of annual Catholic converts in Indonesia has reached approximately 135,000, nearly doubling from around 70,000 in 2010. And this growth is no longer confined to the periphery. It's moving to the cities, into the heart of Jakarta, Medan, and Surabaya, where conversion is not about access, but about conviction. In urban Indonesia, Catholicism is being discovered by university students, professionals and intellectuals, individuals raised in pluralistic environments, yet often left spiritually adrift. Many first encounter the church not through preaching, but through Jesuit-run schools, Franciscan outreach centers, or social justice movements guided by Catholic social teaching. These are places where ideas of human dignity, moral integrity, and community service aren't just spoken, they're lived. Law students, artists, teachers, and journalists often describe a slow unraveling of curiosity, a silent, private search for something coherent in a world of ideological noise. A page from a Catholic text read in solitude, a question posed during a philosophy lecture, a quiet mass attended alone and anonymously. In a culture where religion is deeply communal and conversion can mean social exclusion or family tension, these spiritual awakenings rarely make headlines. Yet they are real, and they are multiplying. In parishes across Java and Sumatra, the signs are unmistakable. RCIA programs are expanding. Pews once half empty now hold faces unfamiliar but hungry for truth, and priests are increasingly trained in interfaith dialogue and cultural nuance to guide these new seekers. This movement doesn't arrive with fanfare or marches. It doesn't scream from street corners. Instead, it unfolds in whispers, in hospital wards, school lounges, quiet cafes, and kitchen table conversations. It grows through the silent witness of Catholic teachers, nurses, neighbors, ordinary people embodying a faith that doesn't impose but invites. In Indonesia, Catholicism is not spreading through confrontation. It's advancing through quiet attraction, offering not domination, but depth, not certainty, but a space for seeking. Number 5, South Korea. In South Korea, the rise of Catholicism is not a demographic ripple. It's a cultural reorientation. Over the last decade, Catholic conversions haven't just increased. They've redefined what faith means in one of the world's most technologically advanced, emotionally complex societies. By 2015, adult baptisms had already reached around 73,000, a striking figure in a country known for religious flexibility and pragmatic spirituality. But by 2025, that number had surged past 120,000, marking a 60% increase that speaks not to trend following, but to intentional transformation. Here, faith is not passed down through tradition or family legacy. It is sought out. It is pursued in silence, often by adults in their 20s and 30s. People raised in a high-pressure society driven by economic ambition, digital immersion, and cultural perfectionism, but plagued by inner disconnection. What makes Korea's conversion story so remarkable isn't just the scale, but the profile of its converts. They're not the disenfranchised or the forgotten. They are graduates from top universities, civil servants, scientists, doctors, engineers, visual artists. These are men and women who move comfortably through a modern, globalized world, yet choose to align themselves with a 2,000-year-old church rooted in hierarchy, sacrament, and moral absolutes. And what draws them is more than theology. It's also aesthetic beauty, philosophical depth, and unwavering moral clarity. The formality of the Latin Rite, the sacred stillness of Eucharistic adoration, the poetic language of ancient prayers, these resonate in a culture saturated with image, pace, and noise. In a society increasingly shaped by relativism and curated identity, the church offers something bold and fixed, a moral compass that doesn't shift with trends. For many, the path to conversion begins not with a sermon, but with a moment of intellectual confrontation. A passage from St. Augustine, a paragraph from Thomas Aquinas, or the spiritual writings of modern saints like Maximilian Kolbe or Chiara Lubitsch, encountered not in church pews but in quiet university libraries. These aren't sudden transformations. They're often the fruit of years of philosophical searching and spiritual hesitation, culminating not in emotional excitement, but in a deep internal surrender to truth. As this movement grows, it's reshaping the church itself across Korea. Adult catechism programs are thriving. Urban parishes are staying open late into the night for Eucharistic adoration. There's rising demand for homilies that teach, for church history courses, and for access to classical liturgical music that feeds the mind as well as the soul. This is not revival by spectacle. It is renewal by depth. The church here is becoming a place of spiritual gravity, a space where intellect, beauty, and conviction meet. In a land once steeped in shamanic mysticism and later flooded with megachurch theatrics, Catholicism is quietly becoming the sanctuary for the restless mind, the disciplined seeker, and the freedom-bound soul. Which of these 5 nations caught you off guard the most? And could the next great wave of conversions rise from somewhere no one's watching yet? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below. We read every single one. If this video gave you a new lens through which to see faith, history, or the world around you, go ahead and like, share it with someone searching for more, and subscribe so you never miss a story that moves both the heart and the mind. The world is shifting, and so is the church. Stay with us. The signs are everywhere.